The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone and welcome to the More Clients from Your Website webinar. Just give people a moment to arrive. I can see quite a few people still arriving. If those of you that are there, if you can hear me, if you can use the GoToMeeting taskbar to raise your hand to confirm you can hear me, that would be very much appreciated. No one's raised their hand yet. Yep, thank you, Jane. Much appreciated. Someone else confirm they can hear me. Perhaps my fellow panelist, if you could raise your hand on the GoToMeeting taskbar, just check that you can hear me too. That'd be great. Thank you, Phil. Paul, can you hear me? Right, I've got a good couple of hands there. Jeff can hear me. Thank you, Jeff. That's Jeff from Private Practice Hub. So welcome. Okay, well, we're 1 o'clock on the dot, so I shall get us started. So thank you for joining me today. The aim is to obviously give you plenty of information, plenty of food for thought about simple things you can do to enable you to get more clients from your website. And these are things that I've tested time and time again that work, and they work across a variety of services. I've worked with all types of service providers, and these work particularly well with therapists, with any service provider. So it's tried and tested, and these things work. So I'm going to share many of them with you today, and if you have any questions at any time, please feel free to use the question taskbar from GoToMeeting. That's got various buttons on it, one of which says questions, and you can type in questions there, and at an appropriate time I will make sure I come back to these and ask them for you, and make it as useful as possible as I can. I've got a couple of websites that people have put forward for me to look at. Jeff's asked, how does he get rid of the background music? There should not be any background music. Is anyone else hearing that? There shouldn't be any background music. You should just be hearing me talking. So it may be a setting at your end, unless anyone else has the same problem. There certainly isn't any background music coming from my end, and GoToWebinar doesn't provide it once the recording started. So I will hope that's just a unique issue for Jeff, and I will carry on now with the rest of the webinar. So let's talk about how we can get you more clients from your website. First of all, just a little bit of background about me, and this will be short, but just to give you some indication of where this knowledge comes from. I was a solicitor for 14 years. I left that up to set up a marketing consultancy for people providing services, and that's what I've been doing since 2003 now. So everything I share with you is based on my expertise of promoting service-based businesses online. And as I say, there's a whole range of those. Jeff sorted his problem. Thank you, Jeff. We've spent over £2 million marketing services. That's on our own businesses and on client businesses. So what I share with you is based on money having been spent. So it's not based on theory or hyperbole or fluff or puff. It is on practical expertise of doing this. And one of the things that's perhaps most important to you is that I've been in your position. I've tried to run a busy practice whilst at the same time trying to do marketing, trying to look after the clients, provide the service that you provide. And I appreciate that it's difficult. So I realized early on that it was really good if I could make my life a whole lot easier. So everything I do is based on wanting to make my life easier, trying and testing things, and then sharing what works with you so that you too can make your lives easier. So that's what I'm sharing with you today in 4 parts. Most effective form of marketing, small changes that you can make for dramatic improvements, how you can get more clients from your website with really simple changes. These are things you can go away today and change, and software that you can use to make your life easier. I've also got some little additions I'll share with you, and if you stay to the end, I'll give you I'll tell you how to get a hold of any resources I mention, so that you can use them at your leisure, and many of them are free, others that have a nominal charge, and so you can decide if they're right for you. So first off, I need to tell you how to work out whether to spend money on marketing. I'm constantly aware that often people get approached with all sorts of wonderful marketing initiatives, and usually these come with a deadline. That say, oh, you only have to spend a few £100 and you can decide to do this, it will be great and you'll get all this business, and if you don't do it, I'm going to go next door to your competitor and they're going to buy this form of marketing. So it's sort of emotional bullying, blackmailing to get you to spend marketing. And I want you to think of a simple test, which I'm going to give you a visual image of in a moment, But if anyone ever approaches you with offering you a wonderful piece of marketing, you have to think peacocks or elephants. So let's look at the peacocks or elephants. And those of you that might be eating your lunch now, I apologize in advance. But I want you to have a very visual demonstration of this so that it makes sense. So the peacock, if he's looking to mate, fans his tail, looks gorgeous, and lets the female do all the work and come over to him and takes the matter from there. Elephant's a little less subtle and tends to be a bit more brutal about the whole mating process. And the reason I need you to visualize and see these images and hold them in your mind is that the form of marketing I'm referring to on the left of the peacock is attraction marketing. This is where someone who is looking for your therapist services comes to your website or finds you, picks up the phone and gets in touch with you. So it's someone that's highly motivated to get in touch with you and is looking for the service you provide, finds you and gets in touch with you. Elephant marketing is interruption marketing. This is when someone's primary purpose is not to do anything relating to your service and you're trying to jump in front of them and say, hey, come and use me, come and use me, come and use my services. It's much more difficult, much more expensive. So when I mentioned at the beginning I like to make my life easier, I'm very interested in you looking at forms of attraction marketing. And that will be someone going online, typing in physiotherapist and their location or chiropractor, psychotherapist, whatever service they're looking for, followed by their town, finding your website, going onto it, deciding to get in touch, and away they go. That is attraction marketing in its purest form, which is why I'm such a big fan of it, because, as I say, I like to make my life easier. Interruption marketing, that would be television, that would be newspapers, local magazines, and I see a lot of therapists advertising in my local magazines, and you've got the job then of someone reading the local news and you're trying to jump up and say, come to me, come to me. So it's much harder. So if you can get this type of marketing working for you, it works 24/7 for you consistently, and it keeps on working. So it's one of those forms of marketing that really is well worth mastering, which is why I spend so much time on it. So if anyone approaches you with a form of marketing, think, are they trying to sell you peacocks or elephants? Is this selling you your service to someone that's ready to buy them right now? Or is it selling your services to someone that's primary purpose is to do something else, read a paper, watch a TV in a doctor's surgery or whatever it might be? So think peacocks or elephants. And that's where you get your attraction marketing. Attraction are your peacocks. So some small changes for you to consider, which should make or can make an immediate impact. And this one I always relate back to when I was working as a solicitor many years ago, thankfully now. I used to work with a solicitor who would tell me how good they were at their job. They'd go off to court and they'd come back from court and say, what a great day I've had, Nick. I've done this and I've done that and I was brilliant. I made this point and I made this argument. And they go on for 10 or 15 minutes and say, sorry, Nick, just be me talking anyway. Enough about me. What do you think of me? It was all about them. And so often in our businesses, and particularly on our websites, we can make the mistake of talking too much about us and not about the client, your potential patient client. So you've got to always think, have I phrased that in a way that matters to the client? Am I highlighting the benefit to them of them coming and using my services? So that's the first thing. If you're talking too much about we do this, I do that, this is how I work, change it around to say, I'll find out what you need and then I'll tailor my service to suit you. Make it all about the client, and it makes a substantial difference to the success of all of your marketing initiatives. Next point I'm making, and I've got a couple of websites to review, is how you handle initial calls. Because what I found out when I left the law, I realized that the details weren't actually my strong point. Now you might think that's strange because obviously being a lawyer, it is all about the details. But I realized that I had to counter my lack of interest in the details and put in place systems to protect me. Since I've left the law and I now run marketing, and I thought I don't need to worry about details. Sadly, I found out that the majority of times it is the details that make a substantial difference, and one of the biggest details are the next two that I'm going to share with you. The first one is call handling. If your current system goes to your mobile phone and then to an answer phone, or it simply rings out if you're engaged, you will be losing business. We are in an age where people want everything instantly now, and if you've done everything else right to the point that the client gets to picking up the telephone, calling you, and then gets an answer phone or gets an engaged tone, you've lost them. So whatever you spent making that client pick up the phone, suddenly it's wasted money because they've gone elsewhere, because people want an instant response. If you can't give it to them, they'll go back to their web search, they'll go back onto your competitor's website, they'll pick them up. So I know you are busy, and I know most of your time is spent looking after your clients. So you need to change that, and the best way of doing that is to outsource your call handling so that all of your calls are answered by a call center. They are answered professionally. People know exactly, people are able to speak to someone who says they're with a patient at the moment, they're with a client at the moment. Let me take some details and they'll come back to you. And those services start from as little as £20 or £30 a month. They are well worth it, because if you get your website working right for you, you get to the point that someone picks up the phone, makes an inquiry, gets an engaged phone or an answer phone, and then goes on to the next one. You've wasted all that effort, and I don't want that to happen. I want your life to be easier, not harder. So if you want recommendations call handling, please reply to any of my emails with a webinar recording, and I will certainly introduce you to some people. But it's £20–30 a month, and it really can make a dramatic difference. The next point that can make a dramatic difference is following up, and following up relentlessly. So this means not only dealing with the initial inquiry, but if you can't get hold of the client at first, try different times, because there's so much money left by clients in their people that have already contacted and shown interest in their services by not following up enough. And I've had all sorts of clients from all sorts of sectors transform their business without spending any more money, just by putting in place a better follow-up system. So for me, that would be at least telephoning as soon as you can, telephoning then at different times, and not leaving a message after the first time, but phoning until you get the client on the phone or the prospect on the phone, and then adding them to an email newsletter list if you have one, and keeping in touch with them unless or until they ask you to help them. But those 2 points, getting your telephone answered professionally and following up every inquiry unless or until they ask you to help them, I promise you can put huge extra amounts of profit into your business. So those are 2 things I thoroughly recommend that you consider and take action on. So next thing, how do you get more clients from your website? And there's a key point here as well, and one that I've noticed on one of the people that are on the webinar. It's one thing I would definitely test and change. So what you need to consider is, what is the purpose of your website? And so many people make the mistake or believe that the website is there to sell the service completely. But that certainly isn't the service. The point of your website is to get someone on the telephone with you, or to get them to fill in an inquiry. And then the next stage, when you get them on the telephone, you chat with them, that's when you turn them into a client. And that might be an initial fixed fee consultation or a special offer you have to start people off. But what happens if you put your prices on the website? As a client comes along, looks at your prices, goes, all right, great, they charge this much. What I'm going to do is go along and see what the next competitor charges, then I'll get in touch. Now, if that competitor doesn't mention their price, but says the initial consultation is a fixed fee, call me to find out why or how much, that's when you have, that's when they'll make the call to your competitor, not to you. And obviously that's not what you want to happen. So I noticed that on one of the websites I've been asked to look at, we've got all of this, the cost details here for different types of services, and my strong advice would be to say remove those, mention that they're fixed fee charges, but sell getting someone on the phone with you, because that's what makes the difference, and that's when you win the client's instructions. So remember, the only purpose of your website is to get someone to pick up the telephone and speak with you. That is all you're trying to do here. Second point, what is it that you do? What is the service you provide? And this might sound obvious, but while I was preparing for this webinar, I went and had a quick look around. It didn't take me long to find quite a few websites that made it very difficult for me, or made me do the work to find out what it is that they did. And that's not the intention of a website. I should be able to land on your website and within seconds find out which is the primary service that you provide. Now, I had a look at this one, and as I say, I just searched locally for me. I'm in Bristol, so I went on Bristol and started looking around. And it's the House Clinics. Now, from the word clinic, I might guess that they provide some sort of treatments, and I can see a blue treatment navigation item there, but it's not explained to me exactly what the service is. I can see the location, that's good, but what do they do? So the key thing there is make sure that directly beneath your logo, you explain exactly what it is that you do, the service that you provide, the help that you can give to your patients. What can you do to make their life better? So if it's physiotherapy, put that, psychotherapy, put that. Whatever it is you do, you have to absolutely spell it out, so that the second someone lands on your website, they go, ah, great. That's what I'm looking for. If you don't do that, you've sowed a seed of doubt in their mind, and there's a good chance they're going to leave the website, or maybe sort of look at it and just not quite feel right about it and leave. And that obviously you don't want to do if you manage to get them to your website. So go back and check your website and make sure it tells people exactly what it is that you do, the service that you provide. Next thing, once you manage to get them onto your website and they can see what you do, I've developed this sort of checklist called the 2-minute trust builder. Why 2 minutes? Because that's normally the maximum time you have for someone on your site to get them to pick up the phone and get in touch with you. If you look at your Google Analytics, and I'll come on to those later, if you look at them, you should see that the average view is under 2 minutes. So you've got no more than 2 minutes to prove that you are the best service provider for them. How do you do that? Well, there's two elements to that. One is proving the depth of your expertise. So that is making sure you have lots of pages about the services you provide, because if I go onto your website and I only see 1 or 2 services, I might think, well, okay, you do a bit of this, but perhaps not enough. If I go in and say lots of pages and there's lots of content on each pages, then it might convince me that, okay, yeah, this is definitely one of the core services. I'm dealing with an expert, and that's what I need, because you're looking to convey that trust. So if I have a look at one of the services, one of the websites sent across to me, and let's have a look. So counselling and psychotherapy, got a lot of information on this page, a picture which is always good, and how to get in touch, which I'll come back to, and then we've got more information here about what it can do, how counselling can help, how much does it cost. Obviously I've mentioned costing there, I wouldn't be highlighting that, but there's one page on counselling. Could there be separate types of counselling? So could there be a separate page for PTSD counselling? Could there be a page for trauma counselling? So that if I'm suffering from trauma, I'm looking for a counsellor to help me, there's a page all about that. And now I understand that this person obviously does a lot of trauma counselling, because they've got a separate page about it, and that's what I'm looking for. So that's what I mean about going for depth of expertise. Are there a number of pages within the counselling section in this case that show me that this is definitely an expert I'm dealing with, and that's what I want, and is there enough content on each of those pages? If there are, what other proof of expertise is there? Are there qualifications displayed? Are there testimonials? And I put all because we live in a changing world, and people now are becoming used to the terminology of reviews. So perhaps having client reviews is better than testimonials. Is there press coverage? Does it show books or articles published and the volume of people helped? Anything that, again, within this 2-minute period, remember, we're just trying to convey our expertise. So is there anything within this period that we can do to prove that we are experts? So if I go back to that website, are there any mention of qualifications? Here we go. We've got lots of good things down here, which is excellent. What I would always do when you have these items is then make them click through to a page, and on that page explain what you've had to do to meet that, to get these qualifications. So go through and have a look at the page. And on it would say, we are a professional standards authority accredited register. Explain what you had to do to get that and what it means. National Counselling Society, what did you have to do? Why does that mean I'm a better counsellor for you, the patient, than if I wasn't a member of the society? So when you've got this, it's definitely worth having, and linking through and explaining why this makes you a better service provider. So really good thing to do, helps with the proof of expertise. So in this 2-minute window, you've got to convey that you are indeed the expert. Those are the ways of doing it. There'll be a recording of this webinar so that you can go back through these points and make sure you tick them all off, because if you do that, if you go through all these simple steps, and a lot of them are simple, I promise you they make a dramatic difference to the amount of people that pick up the phone and ask about your services. So if that's what you're looking to do, use this afterwards as a checklist and go through and make sure you've covered each angle. Next thing, and this is always an interesting one when I talk to people about it. What is it you want me to do? So you've done the great job. You've got someone you're using Peacock Marketing. They've gone in, they've typed in your service followed by the town. They found your website, which is great. They can see under your logo the type of service you provide, which is the one they're looking for. Fantastic. The 2-minute trust builder applies. You've told them that you're members of all the important organizations. You've got client reviews on your website. So it's fantastic. I get to the bottom of the page and I'm now an eager prospect. I want to take the next step. What happens next? Nothing. So I found another website here, bottom of the page, told me everything I wanted to know, and then Nothing. No call to action. And it's a huge mistake, and I see it so often. But if you do not spell out exactly what the next step is for that prospect to take, they won't take it. If there's any uncertainty, they won't do anything. So they'll leave without taking action. So you've done everything right until this point, but if you don't do the last point, you will lose them. And it's such a simple thing to say and to cover. But as I say, it amazes me how many people fail to do this. And quite often you get, let's have a look and see if I can find some calls to action. Quite often you get the call to action sort of separately broken off, as you do here. But what it needs to be is, if I'm reading down this column, at the bottom it needs to be in the same font and same style as everything else. Call to action, free inquiry, call me on this number or email, and I will be glad to help you. Because if you make me go hunting for it down the bottom or at the top, if it's at the top or on the contact page, I won't do it. And that's a mistake that's often made. People assume, well, they'll go and find the contact page, but you've got to make the whole process as simple as possible for prospects to get in touch with you. So if you go through all of that stage of explaining exactly what you want the client to do, but then you fail to spell out exactly what they have to do next to take this relationship to the next stage, you will be throwing money away that otherwise would be coming to you. So if you go back through your website, check that at the bottom of every single page, you explain exactly what the client's supposed to do next to get in touch with you. With that in mind, there's something that 60% of your users usually want, but which most people don't have. And I've learned this lesson the hard way. I said that we've spent a fortune online promoting all sorts of services, and one of the websites we have, which we provide legal services, we didn't have this item, and as soon as we added it, the number of inquiries went up dramatically. So what it meant to me was that the whole time we hadn't had it, we'd been losing clients who otherwise would have come to us. So we'd been basically throwing money away. So I don't want you to do that, and that's why you need to make sure you have it. And as I say, most people don't. So on this website that I just went and found, this doesn't exist. And what is this? This is very simply having a free inquiry form on your website that someone can easily click and complete, and you could link to from the bottom of your call to action. Because 60%, we find across all sorts of services that we work with, 60% of the first inquiry comes from filling in an inquiry form. Now you might think people will say, well, I'll just get straight on the phone, but quite often they don't. They're happy to fill in a form and let you come back to them. And if you don't have a form, and particularly if your phone's not answered, then you've definitely got two potential problems there. So suddenly add a free inquiry form, link to it at the bottom of the page. So once I've finished reading all about you, I get to the bottom of the page, and I've got email, phone number, but I also have, or click here to make a free online inquiry. That takes me off to a very simple form. I fill in that form. There isn't one on this page, but if there was, I fill in the form, I get in touch with you, and then you get back to me as soon as you can. So an inquiry form should be on easily accessible on every page of your website, and certainly at the bottom in the call to action. And again, this is one of those points that people say, well, that won't make a difference, but believe me, it does. And if you don't have an inquiry form, I'm going to tell you about a piece of software at the end of this, which Jeff from Private Practice Hub has negotiated discount for you for, which can put an inquiry form on your website absolutely instantly. So it can show you, within a month, you can say, crikey, okay, we put that on and we've had 10 more inquiries than last month, and what a difference that's made to our business in terms of new clients. So I'll share that with you at the end, because not having any sort of contact or inquiry form on your page, particularly if you can make it an interactive one, it can make a dramatic difference to the amount of inquiries you get for your services. So as I say, I'll come to that at the end. Once you've got that inquiry form, then make sure you flaunt it. And Amazon's a lovely vehicle to learn from, because they're obviously very good at marketing online and good at business. And where do they have their buy now button? Top right hand side, and that's where the link to your inquiry form should be. And that's what you need on every page of your website, linking to it. And Jeff's just put in, I can go to, let me get up a new page. Can you post that link in there? Okay, I can get that from there. So Jeff tells me he's got an inquiry form on here. If I go to contact us, I expect there it is. Okay, and it's a good point, because many people do have a form on the contact us page, And my advice is keep that one there, but have a completely separate page as well, which is just an inquiry form. Because what you want to say at the end of every page is complete the free inquiry form here, link to a free inquiry page. It says free inquiry at the top of it, fill in details below, we'll be in touch. If you send them to the contact page, it's a different page. So as well as having it on the contact page, also definitely have a free inquiry page. And what a smart person Jeff is, because he's got this wonderful genie, which I'll come back to shortly. Thanks for that, Jeff. I'll come back to that later on. But that's an instant inquiry form for you. So once you've got your inquiry form on the website, then make sure you link to it so that people can come straight through, fill it in, and get in touch with you. As I say, if you don't have any sort of inquiry form, you will be losing clients, because strangely enough, some people like to just fill in an inquiry form rather than pick up the phone. I didn't find out that lesson until it cost me lots and lots of new business. I don't want you to make the same mistake, so I'm telling you, it's definitely a smart thing to do. Pricing I've mentioned really isn't a great thing to do, to have to mention your pricing on every page, because you do get used for comparison. On every occasion where pricing has been mentioned, quite detailed, as I see it is on a lot of your websites, once you take that off and say, well, you offer initial fixed fee or a free assessment, and that could be a telephone assessment, and then once you have the prospect on the telephone, that's when you can talk to them about how your fee structures work. And once you've got them on the telephone, your chance of winning the business is much greater, because they'll form a relationship with you. They'll see how much you care about what you do, and they'll believe that your expertise will come across, and there's much more chance of them coming into you. If you have your prices all over your website, I don't need to call you to find anything out, because you've told me everything I need to know, or everything I think I need to know at that point, which is your price. But what you realize is there's much more to it than that. And it's the getting on the phone with you is when you get the chance to actually explain why you're the best service provider. Then you can ask them questions all about them. What is it that matters to them? What is it they need? What's important about the service they're seeking? And as soon as you found all of that out about them, it's very easy to convey back how your service perfectly matches their needs. Once you can do that, if I have a good conversation with you, why am I going to speak to anyone else? You've proved to me that you're right for the job. As I said at the beginning, time is of the essence. So if I have to go off and find someone else now, I've got to go through this process again. Well, that's too much hassle. So if you do your job well, once you get them on the phone, then you don't need to worry about anything else. So putting your prices stops them coming on the phone. And as I mentioned in the first point, the whole purpose of your website is simply to get people on the phone with you. So putting your prices on there takes away that need for me to speak with you and find out any more. It allows me to go straight to your competitors. You don't want that. So if you've got pricing on there, move that, change it, and let's get you more inquiries from your website. It's the whole purpose of today. Okay, if you have any questions, I'm going through this, or you want me to just go and have a quick look at your website, please do type it in the questions or the chat box, and I will happily go off and look at more websites. If you've got a specific question or something you're unsure about, fire away, and I will be happy to do that as we go or at the end. So don't sit there. There's an opportunity to fire something at me live. Please make the most of it. I want this to be as helpful as possible for you. So we're going through quite nicely. There's a few more items I want to cover, and some of them are software. And the first one is one that you should all have access to, easily be able to get hold of, which is Google Analytics. And the reason Google Analytics is so important is it allows you to track your numbers. And as I said at the beginning, I'm not a fan of the details, but I have realized that often it's the detail that is a big difference between a successful business and one that's doing okay. So my advice with analytics is to say you need it on your website. There's lots of videos showing you how to set it up. Most people have it installed at the beginning. And then what you need to do is set a diary note for the first of every single month to go and look at your last month's traffic, compare it to the month before, and see if your website is going in the right direction. Because if you can take care of certain KPIs, key performance indicators, the rest of them will take care of themselves. So if you can see that your website traffic rises month on month because you're blogging, you're writing articles, you're answering clients' questions on there, if you can see your website traffic keeps going up, and you do the other changes I've made, you do the other changes I've suggested on the first part of this webinar, then you'll get more inquiries and you'll get more instructions, you'll get more clients, and you'll get more profits automatically coming through. If you do these bits right, you don't need to worry about the billing at the end of it all. If your website grows in traffic, you get more inquiries every month, you know you'll convert more of those into current clients, and then your profits will take care of themselves. So Google Analytics is one of the most important stats for you. If Jane's asked, has analytics with her website host, do I need the Google one as well? If you get all the information you need from your current analytics provider, then no, you don't have to have Google Analytics. I like Google Analytics because it's universal. It's not tied to any hosting provider, and a general point about websites is if you're looking for a new website, my advice is always to go with something like WordPress, which thousands of people can work with, or to go with a simple website that other people can access. So rather than get sort of tied to certain types of websites. But if you have analytics, it tells you how many visitors you've had, what search terms they've typed into Google to land at your website, so you can see what you're doing well. Then that's fine, as long as you can access those each time. Someone's asked a question about pricing, which is a great question. Not sure about the pricing point. I feel it shows honesty and plain speaking, which is one of the things I'm trying to convey. It's under the contacts though, so it's harder to find. So I'd say, if it's harder to find, you've either got to say, okay, well, the simple thing about any marketing, and this applies to any type of marketing, is test this. So if at the moment your pricing is there and it is visible, but you want to test it not being visible, take it off for a month or 2 months and see what the stats are. If 1 month you had 10 inquiries, the next month you have 20, you've got your answer very clearly. Let your clients try, but I promise you, on every site that I've had pricing listed and pricing not listed, those without the pricing get more inquiries. So that's based on hard experience, and so often it's hard as a business owner to take what we think is important, and the only way really to get an answer is to let your clients tell you and your prospects tell you, and the only way to do that is to test it. So the simple option is, if you have your pricing on there at the moment, look at the number of inquiries you've had and measured for the last few months, and then take it off for a couple of months and sell the fixed fee element of your services, but not necessarily the pricing. So let's have a look at see how easy it is to find this pricing. Nope, that's not what I wanted to copy. So yeah, there's all our pricing. So I definitely just test it, Rebecca. That could make a massive difference for you, because if I get there and I get to contact page, and more importantly at this point I might be getting in touch with you and picking up the phone, but if I suddenly scroll down and say, oh, okay, right, that's £15 or £50, so let me go to the next acupuncturist on the list in the same location in Huddersfield. So I go Huddersfield acupuncturist, go on their site, they don't mention price. Oh, I better phone to find out how much that is. Suddenly I'm having a phone call with them, which I haven't had with you, but which I should have done, because you've done the work so well at that point to get me interested in you. So let me just check your calls. So you've got joining mailing list, that's good. But as your service often is an instant needs service, which is a good thing, the easiest thing is to get someone to get in touch with you. So having an inquiry form, linking to that, linking to your phone number and your email address, I would be doing that as well. So I might leave the joining mailing list there, but above this, put a subheading, free initial inquiry, call me on this number, fill in the free inquiry form, and I'll be delighted to explain how I can help you, what I can do. So that can make a big difference for you. So analytics, so track your website stats every month, make sure your website traffic is going up, and you will start to see better results, and you will get more clients coming through. Next thing is live chat. I've talked about forms, and live chat's one of those things that I've always been fascinated with. And live chat's great if someone is there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and can answer any live questions. But what happens, I've seen this we're all in the same position. I'm in the same position as you. I run a business. I largely do a lot of what I do is me carrying it out. So I can't be sitting next to my computer all day, every day, waiting to answer people's questions. But I also know that at times they do have questions, and if I'm not there, they'll miss out. So I've had lots of chances of trying live chat. And when you are there and you can answer, then you're able to take away people's doubts or concerns as to why they could get in touch with you. You can instantly answer them, and you would convert more inquiries into new clients. Trouble is, as you're always busy, you're doing other things, you can't be with a patient and answering live chat. So what tends to happen, which is even worse, is you then have this button comes up, says, we're not here at the moment, we're offline, leave a question. No one will ever fill in that question, because it's telling me basically you're shut, or you're busy, you're elsewhere, you're doing other things, as you're allowed to do. But it's almost like having a shop on the high street and having closed for lunch. And we know what impact in this day and age that would have. No more afternoon closing, no more closed for lunch. You've got to be accessible. So suddenly you've gone from having something that might work to something that says, we're closed, go away, we don't want to speak with you. So that's the major problem with live chat. And it's why I actually devise something that sort of takes away this problem of you being busy, allows you to have a life and a working life and have a busy business, and at the same time get more inquiries from your website, which is the whole point of this webinar. And the picture, I'm sorry to say, those are my toes, and this is just conveying where I came up with this idea. So I was lying on a beach on holiday, and I was thinking about all of my clients, from the range of industries that they work in, from law to physiotherapists, chiropractors, psychotherapists, accountants, any service provider. And I was thinking about all of them, and I was thinking, what do they do well? And that's look after their clients. And what generally don't they do so well? And that's get more clients through the door. And I was thinking about my favorite form of marketing, Peacock marketing, and if they get someone to their website, the general statistics are that for every 100 people that go to your website, 2 of them, if you are lucky, and I know that's if you're lucky because I've analyzed lots of websites, 2 of them would actually get in touch with you. So that means that 98 people are running away from your website without doing anything when they've expressed an interest in your service. So for instance, they typed in acupuncturist Huddersfield, they went to Rebecca's lovely website, they got to the point that they should have done something, but they left. So I've covered some of the reasons why they might have left, but you're still thinking, that's a lot of people to leave my website without taking action. And generally, I find that the real figure is something like sort of 0.5%. So for every 100 people to your website, half of them will fill in an inquiry form. So it's not a great figure. So I was lying there thinking, okay, so if I could come up with something that would make my clients' lives easier, because they can do what they do best, look after their clients, and I can make their website do what they need more of, generate more clients for them, then everyone's going to be happy with the outcome. And I was thinking about live chat and how it can be great, but that it's never turned on. And so I came up for want of a better word, automated live chat, something that works on your website 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, allows your client to ask any question just as they would with live chat, but then more importantly sends you an instant email and say, here's the question, you answer it, and you answer it as soon as you can, just like you would an inquiry from the website. So I said, if you don't yet have a website inquiry form, this is an instant way of getting it. And how it works, very simply, as you saw on Jeff's website, and let me go and do that, connect psychotherapy practice. I'm on the website for 30 seconds, the form pops up and says, we're here to help you with any of your questions, just click yes or no. And the reason this is different, and the reason this works so well, is often you'll see in the bottom right of the screen, if there is live chat, click here to chat with us. Now the difference there is I have to physically make the decision that I'm going to click that button and deal with it. Not with your website Genie. The Genie pops up and says, do you want help, yes or no? It's like someone in a shop, but it's not quite as annoying because they're not in your face, and you can get rid of them very quickly by hitting the no button. However, if you press yes, you're presented with a very simple box that says type your question. So if I type my question in here, which always works so well when you are live on a webinar, send the question through. Now at this point, the page that I was on and the question I've asked is recorded, so you're able to access a spreadsheet that shows all the questions asked and which page they were on. The important point is there, if a common question is asked on the same page each time, then you can cover that you can improve that page so that future visitors don't have to keep asking the question. You're more likely to get more inquiries. But what we find is most people are happy to then, once they've asked a question, they're now committed to the process. They want the answer. So they now give their other details, including a lot of the time their telephone number, which is surprising, but a lot of them are happy to give their telephone number, send it through, and Stacks will be in touch shortly. So suddenly you have on your website 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, an automatic live chat-esque solution for your clients. Now the clients like it. You get an instant inquiry, you get the email sent to you with the client's question and their contact details, and you can immediately go back to them, and you've got a live prospect now. So you've taken someone that was on your website, looking around, thinking about it, and going, oh, is there an inquiry form? Is there a call to action at the bottom of the page? What am I going to do? Up pops the genie. They ask their question, and away they go. And in some cases, it's led to an increase in inquiries without doing anything else of 300%. So if you're getting 10 inquiries a month, that might turn into 30. If you're getting 30, that might turn into nearly 100. So it's a very, very simple piece of software, and it works, as I've just shown you, to generate more inquiries for you. It's completely automated. The important thing is, as I say, when I was lying on that beach, was what can I do to get my clients more clients from their website without them having to do a single thing. And this takes seconds to set up. We'll actually set it up for you. It's a tiny code snippet, sort of like your analytics code, gets dropped onto your website, and then it works. And the genie will only pop up once a day to you. So if, for example, a prospect goes on there and says, no, I don't want to ask a question, it won't bother them again for another day. It doesn't keep popping up on numerous visits. So it's not in people's faces. People don't object to it. Excuse me. Works with or without you. Instantly, you're emailed new inquiries. It's normally £20 a month, which we try to price it something that we thought, if someone gets one extra client from it, then they've made their money back many times over for the year. But we wanted to make sure what the price wasn't a factor. That being said, Jeff is a tough negotiator for his crowd, and that's you. And so he's worked very hard, and I have to say, he really has. I'm not just saying that because he's asked me to do a webinar for you. He really wanted to get you a better price. And so he has managed to achieve that and get the price down to you for only £15 a month. So it's even less. There's no minimum contract. There's no tie-in. This is something that you can test. And if you don't like it after a month, you can say, cancel the payment, because it's all through direct debit. So you're in complete control of cancelling it, and you've tested it. But like any marketing, I said to you, test it. So put it on your website, spend £15. If at the end of the month you can't say, well, I had 15 inquiries this month, I had 7 last, okay, that's worked, and I've turned 2 of those extra ones into clients, you can immediately see you've got a return on investment. So as I say, for you, it's easy to get hold of. It's a reduced price of £15, and it can be set up within minutes of this call. So I'll put this link for you in the chat box, so that you can access it, and that allows you to set it up. But I'm here. You'll see. We've got a lot of clients using it. We've got over 100 websites. It's on over 23,000 inquiries handled for clients, and it works, which is why I was so excited about it and so pleased it works. And it's why Jeff said, Nick, put on this website. You know a lot about this website stuff and getting people more clients and making their life easier. And even if you don't go for the genie, as I say, what it does do, gives you an instant inquiry form on your website. So if you haven't got one, and most therapist websites I've looked at don't have them, it puts one on there instantly for you. So it should immediately tell you whether you're getting visitors and give you a boost in inquiries. Even if you have an inquiry form, it works because, say, it's the interactive element where it pops up and says, we're here to help you. Any questions, yes or no? Away you go, click yes, and you've got your inquiry. It also tells you what page they're on and what the question is, so you can improve that content. So that's the genie in a nutshell. I'm happy to answer more of your questions. So if you've got questions, please type them in. If you want me to go and look at your website now, please put your website address into the questions box or the chat box, and I'll happily go and have a look at that. But if you've got any other questions, please do fire away now. There's a couple of slides from our sponsor, from Private Practice Hub. So I'll put those up on the screen just for you to look through while I wait for questions to come in. Someone's asked, is it hard to set up the Genie? No, it's really simple. As I say, if you're worried that technology isn't your strong point, don't worry. Sign up in the normal way and then say, what do I do next? And we'll either talk you through it or we'll do it for you. There's no charge for that. It's so simple; it can be up and running in minutes. So I don't want that to be a worry for you. As I say, there's no other problem with it. There's no other difficulty with it. It's simple to set up and simple to stop. So let's have a look at another website someone sent through. Keep coming with the questions and I'll be happy to fire away. So wait for that one to load. Hello, lovely smiling face, very friendly and welcoming, and got a good call to action. Contact me so we can arrange time. The other thing I'd suggest is, as I discussed on the webinar, put down, please call me on this number or fill in the free online inquiry or make an appointment. So you've got 3 options you can use there. So I'd make them much clearer and spell it out for me. As I say, people don't want to have to do anything, don't want to have to think. So definitely spell it out for them. Call me on this number, email free inquiry or make an appointment, and make all of those links. So is there a contact form? Yes, there is. So I'd have that form duplicated on a separate page so you can actually put it through. So you could say fill in a free online inquiry. Personal change coaching. So I know exactly what you do. So well done for that, Antonia. Spell out exactly what you do is always crucial. So yeah, calls to action. That's the only thing I'd do. And let's have a look at the next one on the list. Any other questions you can fire away while I look through this? I'm here to help. Curtsy, again, nice friendly picture. No call to action, so definitely adding calls to action, adding a Genie to this will work. Areas of counselling. Let's have a look at our depth of expertise. We've got here, obviously, expertise. It's not at the moment clickable, so I'd suggest you change that, allow me to click through and take me to a page that explains what all of these sort of qualifications mean and why it means you're better. You're better for me. Areas of counselling, good. We've got one here for bereavement, so leads to a PDF. I wouldn't send people off to a PDF. I'd generally put that content on your website, and then it allows me to think, okay, we do a lot of help with counselling with bereavement, and then put separate pages for each of your areas of counselling, so that makes a big difference. Tech isn't my strong point and not sure how to access Google Analytics. Is it simple? Yes, Rebecca, it should be really simple. If you've got a Google Analytics account already, you should be able to Google Analytics, log in, and then you can go straight there. What that looks like is, well, actually, send me any question. You've got my email from the webinar. Send me, if you've got your login, you want me to look at it or do a quick review of it for you, do that. I'll happily do that and talk you through what your key stats are that you're looking for, because analytics is one of the most important things for any business owner. Like I say, if at the beginning of every month you check your web traffic, make sure it's going up. If it's not, then take steps to get more traffic to your website. And if that's something that's interests you, I'd be happy to do another webinar for Jeff for Private Practice Hub members later. So let me know, let Jeff know, and perhaps we can do something else for you, which is about how you get more people to your website. I'd be more than happy to do that, because obviously more people you get to your website, the more inquiries you get for your service, the busier you are and the happier you are. But yeah, if you've got issues with your analytics, you need me to show you how it works, then please feel free to come back to me, ask me questions, and I'll be happy to help you. You don't need to sit there and worry about it. I accept that you are experts at the service you provide, not necessarily experts at Google Analytics, but the good thing is there's people out there that can help you with that stuff. I'm one of those people. So feel free to ask away. As part of today, it's not something I'm looking to sell to you as a service, I assure you. So yeah, feel free to fire away. Thanks, Rebecca. Thank you, Jeff. If there's no other questions, I will shortly wrap us all up. But as I say, I'm happy to answer any other questions afterwards. So just reply to any of the emails you get. I've taken a recording of this webinar. As soon as that comes through, I'll put it live for you on YouTube and send you the link so you can go back. And as I say, what I really want you to do is to go back through everything we've covered today and just use it as a checklist to go through your website and say, have I got what I do at the top of the website? Have I got calls to action on every page? Do I make sure people know I am an expert? Do I cover the two-minute trust builder items? Have I got an inquiry form? Have I got the Genie on there? All the things that will make your life so much easier so that you can spend your time doing what you love to do, which is looking after your clients. So thank you all very much for attending today. I appreciate it's in the middle of your day. I will let you go back to it, and I hope you found it helpful. And say, fire away with any questions. Thanks very much.